taking a picture of my dog real quick. He's so the beginning of today's stream is apparently me describing that I'm taking a picture, but hello everyone and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're playing Masks: A New Generation.
Woohoo!
Hey!
I am Christiana Ellis, the Game Master, and our players tonight, Nobilis as Flair,
Whoosh!
Dove Archambault as Curie,
What are we going to find tonight?
Lee Burdett as Mayhem,
Shenanigans.
Jason Banks as Vanguard,
I wonder if she can make us cannolis.
and Paul Weimer as Antares.
Oh, Halcyon City, here we come, and happy people count on thumbs, and nothing really gets us down as long as the Harbor kids are back in town.
Oh.
Plus one if you get that reference.
Nice.
Oh. I don't, but I liked it.
I stole it from a car song.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So, when last we left our heroes, the Harbor Kids, they had managed to finally present their new friend Ilanil to the leader of the Mystic Marksmen, Gunpowder Guardian, also known as Vanguard's grandpa. And his reaction to meeting the daughter of one of his worst enemies was, thankfully, relatively positive. And if anything, he was more nonplussed by the strange method by which you chose to present this, namely a surprise cake and disguise and so on. But that said, it was such a good cake that it went a long way towards softening the blow. Then you also, on your way out of that particular meeting, you managed to intercept a troubled, incipient supervillain and turn him to a better path. So, Lukewarm is now looking for ways to help the community with his strange power. But as the Harbor Kids returned to their headquarters, I think that did any of you have any particular business you would have wanted to deal with that night? Otherwise, we can perhaps allow a little bit of time to pass.
I mean, like, how late in the day would it be?
Well, you were. It was early afternoon when you were dealing with the with Lukewarm. So,
Yeah, I think Carrie would have wanted to go head towards Nona's.
okay. Well, so I guess what I'm just saying is we can have the group do whatever they want. It doesn't have to be like that day. That's my whole point.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, I
if,
mean, like,
if there was something that you wanted to make sure that it was right away and that day, that's what I was trying to say.
yeah, Carrie would want to do it right away.
Okay. Well, all right then. So, Curie wants to go see Nona Olivia, but how about you? Who else is going? What's the pitch? What's going on here? Curie wants to see Nona Olivia. That doesn't make anything else happen. What is the group decision? What are you doing?
If the rest of you want to go do something else, that would, that'd be great. Yeah, I wouldn't be complaining. I would have no issues.
I
bringing
love
leftovers.
Nona Olivia.
I
Let's
have
go.
I have not been to Nona Olivia's yet, as you recall.
Yeah,
I need an
neither
introduction.
have
And Vanguard is undoubtedly hungry.
And,
Undoubtedly hungry.
and sounds like I might get that cannoli.
After the
just
cake, you're
had
gonna
a
go
bunch
for
of ice
cannoli?
cream and cake.
Yeah, it's like after
We,
that
as
cake-
established, this is literally like an hour later.
Yeah, this has been a very sugar-heavy day.
a young superhero has a high metabolism.
True.
Yeah. As we're headed out, Blair shapeshifts into an exact copy of Vanguard, walking behind him, only 50 pounds heavier.
Wow. Flair has learned.
And when
trolling.
Vanguard turns back around, he's back to normal again.
Mhm.
Yeah. Next time Vanguard turns around, he'll have a receding hairline and then the bearded belly,
Oh God.
gradually looking more and more like Gunpowder Guardian as he walks down the road.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
are you all just walking down the street in your superhero get-ups?
I
I
mean,
mean,
this
that's
is Halcyon
allowed.
City,
I'm just-
right?
Yeah, sure. I'm not saying that people
Yeah.
will have never seen it before, but there's a difference
Carrie
between
would've-
knowing someone famous lives in your city and having them actually right there in front of you.
Carrie would have taken off her jacket and such and put it in her bag.
I don't think I actually ever was in
No, I think
superhero
you
guard.
weren't. You were the only one
Yeah.
that wasn't at that point.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
just fine.
And
I mean,
Mayhem
I have-
is just for
I
clothes.
have been walking down the street in New York City and passed by someone
Mhm.
who was absolutely in a movie that I'd seen.
Mhm.
One of the times it was Sir David Attenborough. Just walking along, he was chatting with someone,
So
and nobody around was like, "Oh my God, that's David Attenborough."
okay, fair, but there's a difference. So tell me that you think there is no difference at all in the amount of attention you receive between whether you're in a superhero costume or
Oh,
not
well-
in a superhero costume.
Fair.
Yeah,
I
there-
mean, you know,
that's-
the costume says on duty.
Yeah, I'm not
Right.
saying
Mhm.
people are freaking out, but there's
Yeah.
a difference.
But they might be
Yeah.
looking around like, you
Yeah,
know,
like what's going on?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you going to do something cool? Is there danger around? What's happening?
Yeah.
Vanguard would get back.
It's like seeing a firefighter walking down the street in
In
his
full
full
kit.
jacket and helmet and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It would make you look
Okay.
around and wonder what's happening.
And besides, he wants to be comfortable when he goes to get food. He eats his feelings.
All right. Well, if we're going in civvies, Flair is going to change. Of course, change. And I'll go on. I will get you an illustration in a bit.
And Vanguard looks at Flair and says, "Flair, can you change other people?"
No,
Oh.
no. It's a side effect of my containment unit. The thing that keeps the inside of me from getting out and causing trouble.
I was gonna say, because if you did, you'd have a great career after superheroing and makeup.
I mean, I had considered acting.
You know that would make a lot of sense.
I think Ilanil, despite how excited everybody is here, is feeling maybe a little overwhelmed having met Gunpowder Guardian, and she wants to get started right away on preparing for what the next steps might be. And I think that in preparation includes some meditation back at the headquarters, and so perhaps you drop her off on the way.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Carrie would take a close look at her and make sure that she any of the outward signs of illness or whatever is not there. But
Yeah, I mean, I think she seems
Okay.
okay. She's just like, if anything,
Yeah.
she's feeling like I was really worried about that going well, and then it seems to go well, but that going well just means there's a next thing to do now.
Yeah.
okay, just be safe.
So,
Okay.
you're all just headed over there? No call, no nothing?
I think Mayhem would give her a call.
Okay.
Just a heads up. Me and the rest of the normal crew are heading over for a visit.
My goodness, the whole crew.
Oh yeah. I know Flair wants to give you the blow by blow of giving the cake to Gunpowder Guardian.
I can't wait to hear everything.
Yes.
So yeah,
So, Mayhem, can you tell me about Nona? Like, just tell me about her. I'm curious about the person who seems to have taken on your parental role?
Oh, she not really my parent. Uh she helped me when I first got to the city, and um I check in with her every so often, try to help her out as much as I can. You know, started off trying to do good stuff by helping her out. She introduced me to my boss. She's good people.
Okay.
Yeah, she seems well connected. She even knew where to find to get that cake from Le Chef.
Well, she is like golden age.
I was going to say you're really trying to not just say old.
Yeah, trying to be diplomatic.
Yeah, no, but she's from the golden age. She's been around. She knows some stuff.
Hmm.
Okay. Do you know what she did when she was younger? Obviously, she likes to cook now, but
Hmm.
Is,
Well, I
there,
think she always liked to cook.
is there like a cooking superhero? Maybe was there like
We met him.
besides the chef,
Le Chef.
And I feel that felt more villainous than it did hero. They were
I mean,
my read on the chef was that he was a hero and stuff happened that drove him to hide.
well, not hide, but
Well,
perhaps drove him out of the superheroing business, and now
yeah.
he's
Now
the head
he's
of that organization.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that organization.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, people's loyalties and ideals shift over time. You know, think of all of the golden, silver, and bronze age, all the heroes who went bad and had to be taken in, all the villains who turned over a new leaf. You know, it's a standard thing that happens.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, it's not
look at
everybody,
lukewarm.
but at any given time, there's always one or two of them that have switched sides.
Yeah. Okay. I guess she just seems very mysterious to me.
I haven't met her, so I can't say yet. So I can't say.
Wow,
Well,
she's fascinating. Whether she's
well,
who she might have been or not.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And you know what? Hopefully she, hopefully she can't be too bad, seeing as, she's helping Mayhem here. Yeah.
So I think we return to Nona Olivia's building, which is previously described as kind of the classic old walk up type apartment building where she's on the fourth floor in a building with no elevator, despite her
Yep.
being this frail little old lady.
Mm-hmm.
We go up to her apartment and she lets you all in. And once again, this apartment is just absolutely full of stuff, not in a hoarder sense, but just in a have accumulated a lot of stuff. So there's just, the shelves are full of things, and there's furniture, and there's all sorts of stuff around, and it's as tidy as it can be when there's just so much stuff. And I think she puts some of you to work. You have to move the overstuffed recliner over to the side so that you can put the extra leaf in the table. Since there are so many guests,
Yes.
you have to go get the other chairs out of the closet. And that's a little, you have a little bit of a game of Tetris in there, how to retrieve the
Because-
chairs.
Got to get them out from behind the pool sticks and the parachute harness.
Yeah. Yeah, not to mention the where they're, braced kind of up against the air conditioning unit and the vacuum cleaner is kind of catty corner.
And I think it's just one of those things where, without me as the GM trying to hint towards you anything, but just the fun of the image is just sort of imagining, is like, how does she ever do this when she doesn't have guests over to do it like this?
I mean, my thought on that is she really, like, she doesn't need to when she does have guests, generally.
Yeah, lots of
She's
stuff
just-
is just tucked away. She's
Yeah.
only getting. You only need to get the chairs out when you have extra guests.
and
Yeah.
the extra guests can get the chairs out. That it all
Exactly.
works
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the meantime, you've got a lovely smell of, I think she's got a great big lasagna in the oven, and smell some garlic bread baking.
Oh boy.
And so I think she's just fussing around the kitchen at the moment, letting you all she giving assignments to everybody. So like, who's chopping garlic, and who's setting the table, and
I think that Blair is notable in that he's not getting involved and helping. He's just kind of sitting back and enjoying. Because I would like to clear my hopeless condition by fling myself into easy relief and it gives something to talk about,
sure.
possibly, if anybody cares.
Yeah, I think Kiri is, trying her hand at, chopping garlic and, and it's a bit slow, but, doesn't hurt, doesn't, cut herself or anything.
Sure. Well, I think with your skills, it makes sense that you're able to deal with a knife.
Yeah.
But so it's one of those situations where she's giving everybody sort of a job, to the extent that they're volunteering to help.
Of course.
But it's one of those things where you can't help but feel like no matter what it is that you're helping with, it feels a little bit like busy work because it's so clear that she's running the kitchen sort of
Oh,
situation.
yes.
I still have this with one of my aunts where she's getting up there now, and it's just one of those things where it's just like, let us help you with that. And she's like, no, I've got it. Okay. So I think, as things are, increasingly ready, like someone has the job of like, you got a great big salad, you got to mix up
Yep.
the salad, and
I volunteer for salad duty.
all right. So I think everyone kind of eventually settles down, and she's saying, so lovely to have all of you along. I'm so proud of you all, and Mayhem, I'm so happy that you have found yourself such a lovely group of friends to take care of you, and for you to take care of them, because that's important too.
Yes. Let me introduce you to Curie, Antares, Vanguard, and you remember Flair. We have another friend, new friend, from another dimension, who is the daughter of the evil overlord. So that's going to be fun. I'll bring her over later.
I heard a bit about that. I'm certainly eager to meet her. I know that her presence in the city and in your acquaintance was central to the whole plan related to the cake. I can't wait to hear how all that turned out. How did the old
Yes.
Gunpowder Guardian react?
Well, Blair, you
Well,
want to
He
tell a story?
he was calm and collected. He didn't didn't overreact. Everything went fine. So we're very happy to learn that he's not going to immediately try to try to kill our friend. So everything worked out great.
Yeah, Vanguard's like, you know,
I love it when a plan comes together.
yeah, he was for a while there kind of speechless.
So I think that a little bit of a like it's not dramatic, but you can see that there's maybe a little bit of mixed feeling only in the sense that she's happy that it went well for all of you, but she almost kind of was hoping for a bigger reaction.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's
but
not as juicy as she wanted.
yeah, and it's fine. Like she doesn't seem mad or like, sulky about it. It's more just kind of like, "Oh, well."
Yeah, it would have
Yeah.
been a better story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
The thing that really I think uh, caught his attention was the fact that we had a cake from the chef.
I'm so glad that that worked out. The chef is
Yes, and
certainly, when you ask about cakes, that's who I think of.
yes, I would
Well,
love to
now he
know.
did have something
Wow.
interesting. He did have a message to bring to you,
Yes,
Oh,
and
do
which
tell.
can
was
we there's something I would like to, you know, ask before we get to that.
Of course, sweetheart. Ask whatever
Uh-huh.
you like.
How did you get to know him?
Oh.
Like, he seems so secretive, so unusual.
Well, it was a long time ago, of course. We all traveled in different circles back then. I think it's not a terribly interesting story, but when you've lived as long as I have, the people that you meet just out and about often go on to do great things like Le Chef. And then, if you are smart, you'll maintain contact with those people because you never know when someone will come in handy.
Well, I am I it's good that you mentioned coming in handy because part of uh the price of us getting the cake was the chef requesting that there be no more favors asked of him from you.
What did he say exactly?
I'm going to shapeshift into Le Chef and say, "We're done."
Oh my goodness. He's so dramatic. Oh, what a charmer that was.
I got that impression.
He
Yeah,
knows
it's
he's
also
done when I say he's done.
well, I do have to
This
say
is
that
me laughing,
Oh,
by the way. Flair is not going off like this, but
I
Yeah,
me.
do have
Oh my
to say
god!
that I
Vanguard
did
stops doing
promise
what he was
him
doing.
I'm
that
joking, of course. All of you are
oh,
so taking this so seriously, honestly. I'm glad
well,
you enjoyed the cake.
it
it was
is I myself have have some confusion about our interaction with the chef that makes me want to be sure of uh, makes me feel more serious than others.
Okay. Just as a GM, like if you want this to be the Pierce the Mask move, we can do that.
Yes,
I
yes.
think that's yeah.
I'm
yeah, I
Mhm.
can't figure
Definitely
that's what
I'm
you're
gonna
going for.
finish. Then
Sure,
we can.
sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I I asked. All right. I am think. Sorry.
That's
Oh,
okay. No
the
worries.
first thing he said when he saw us is that he asked if we were there to kill him. And the only thing he knew about us was that he was sent by you. And I I don't want there to be any misunderstanding.
Sure. So, when you pierce someone's mask to see the person beneath, roll plus mundane.
Okay.
Look at
Full
that.
hit
Full hit.
at
So,
10.
on a 10 plus, you can ask 3 questions from this list here, and you don't necessarily have to ask all of them right away. You could ask one, and then we could get an answer, and then if you you felt like the other questions came up in conversation, you could ask them then, or whatever you like there.
Well, I
The
think to start, it would be, how can I gain influence over you?
mhm.
Okay.
Wow.
Just jumping right to it.
Yeah.
Uh, I think. So I think the answer you so the question you asked in the actual conversation here was just related to like he wondered like, are you here to kill me, and she just said. So I think the answer she gives in that specific context is, Curie, darling, I know that you're relatively new to the city, and you're young, and I know that when both of those things are true, and then you mix in all of this superhero business with it, things can awfully start to seem very black and white. Things are always either good or bad, or, evil or righteous. And I think it's true more often than not that when you get a little older, you have a little bit more perspective. You start to understand that the complexities of life are not upsetting, they're interesting. And so I know that that seems a roundabout way of answering this question. But part of what happens is when you have someone as gifted as Le Chef is, it can create in you a perception that there's always someone out to get you. Because when you're at the top of the mountain, there's always someone trying to be the next best. Right? And so that can create an element of paranoia. I would never send anyone to kill the chef. He's wonderful. He's a dear friend. I'm sorry if he gave you some misunderstanding or impression otherwise. But look, why would I ever want to do such a thing? But so in the context here is that I think the way that you could get influence over her would require you to sort of, I know this is a little bit abstract, but you would require you to sort of like demonstrate an ability to move past the idea of a really straightforward, like, things are all either good or bad, black and white, that sort of thing, right? Because right now she thinks of you as a young person who is kind of got an overly simplistic view of the world, which is not, like, she finds that endearing, but, that's why she wouldn't necessarily take what you have to say as seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then my
She thinks she's got you, like, figured out, is the thing. And you would have to
Yeah.
show her that her initial impression is not correct.
Okay. And my second question is,
Mm-hmm.
what do you intend to do specifically regarding the request?
Which request is that? What do you mean?
The request to that, no more favors
Oh, well, I mean,
from the chef.
I suspect that I'll have to reach out to him and just see if we can clear up any misunderstandings between us.
Okay. I would like to be able to go back to him or his people and say that you that you have accepted and that they're oh, that
I think as you say that, I think
clarification.
she reaches out and she kind of like takes your hand and in between both of hers, and she's just saying, "My dear, I understand that all of this is very exciting, and you're always looking for someone to help, and I think that's a wonderful trait. And I think in this particular circumstance, uh, this is uh, old conversations between old friends, and you really don't need to be involved any further than this. I think if you wish to engage the chef's services in the future, I'm certainly not telling you not to contact with him, but I don't think that there is any follow up required. You've delivered the message received, it's fine.
Okay. I my thought was merely return to the outside of his building and uh, and report to the person listening that uh, the request is accepted and that the price is paid.
Well, how about this? I absolve you of the responsibility to do that.
Hmm.
It, thank you. That's wonderful. We will,
I'll take care of it.
yes.
Thank you.
To be quite honest, I was, the atmosphere in there is a bit,
He's very intense.
yes, it's
Quite.
Yes.
intense.
And he seems to take his confectionaries very seriously.
I
He
mean,
does. See, this is one of the things that you understand when you've known people for so long, is that you can understand that I think it is probably necessary to some degree in order to be at the top of your game the way he is. I think that there's a level of intensity and interest and focus that is necessary, but is not always the things that make one happiest in life. And sometimes when you can just rest easy and know that you have accomplished many things in your life and now you're in your golden years and you can look back and relax. I certainly find pleasure in that, but he has continued to pursue his craft. And honestly, I think that's ultimately what makes him happiest anyway, even though obviously in the day to day, sometimes he has stresses in his life as a result.
I think I can, honestly, I can see what happens there. Grandpa was like that when I was younger. Grandpa seemed almost out of reach to me. He's very serious, very far more hot-headed than he is now. Again, I thought he would have exploded when we introduced him to his like most notorious villain ever and his daughter. But he was calm and so people can change and grow as they get older. So I
It's
get it.
true. Honestly, I kind of would have expected that too. But it's a testament, I think, to your relationship with him and to all of you in presenting such an earnest appeal to his best nature that resulted in an outcome that you're all happy with. And I am so pleased for you.
And so, Christiana, DM, did you see the Zoom chat?
Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't been looking at it.
No, you're fine. So I was thinking about asking Nona Olivia about a TMZ like organization, or at least a reporter to help us brand for the Harbor Kids. And everybody else in the group said it was cool, so I wanted to let you know before I
Okay,
ask.
sure. Okay, yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, feel free to ask.
And so, Vanguard's like, hey, so Nona Olivia, you seem to keep your ear to the ground, so to speak. Almost like an old school reporter. You wouldn't happen to know anybody at the Star Watch, would you?
Oh, well, I can't say that I know of any of their uh, current on-air talent, although I certainly enjoy the escapades of some of their coverage. Um, I do know some of the folks doing the editorial.
Yeah. See,
Are the Harbor Kids looking to start doing uh, publicity tours?
yeah, Gramps also kind of got on me about that because he was like, because we kind of show up to a scene, stuff happens, and then we immediately leave.
Hmm.
And he said that's not a good way to get our name out there. So, and as you can see, we're not good at face to face. stuff.
Oh, I don't know that that's true. After all, weren't we just saying that all of you together were able to present something which might have been upsetting and startling to the Gunpowder Guardian in such a way that you achieved everything you were after?
I feel a lot of that was because when we told him that it was a Le Chef cake, that was the second like shoe to fall because he was like a Le Chef cake. Like,
Well, there's no question that Le Chef knows his business.
yeah, but we are. I would think that maybe we could start out something small, not like, social media or anything, but like a nice article maybe. Or maybe they could come hang with us in a day of the life of the Harbor Kids.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't think that I'm the person who's going to be able to get you coverage in the same way that I was able to get you a cake. But if you want advice, I suppose I could offer that.
Sure.
I think one of the first things that you would want to consider, I've seen a lot of superheroes come and go in the public eye over the years, and it strikes me that there are many who simply embrace the public spectacle, and they do, as you suggest, stick around to talk to journalists and so on after their escapades. And that certainly can produce a level of publicity and celebrity, even. But it's also possible to get lost in all of that. It becomes a question of, like, why did you stop that bank robbery, say? Was it because you were really concerned about the government insured money being lost? Or was it because you knew that cameras would show up afterwards? It starts becoming a question not only for others who might wonder about you, but also it becomes a question of which are you really pursuing? Are you looking for the celebrity, or are you just trying to do the right thing? So I would ask, before you start engaging with the publicity, to ask what it is that you hope to accomplish with it.
This almost feels like she's trying to change my labels a little bit. Trying to change my labels a little bit. A little bit here. And it's funny. It reminds him of what his grandpa said too. Although his grandpa said it nowhere near as nice. Um, and he's like, man, and he's sitting there thinking, and let's see. I think his labels will shift.
Yeah.
And I think
I didn't actually have a specific shift in mind, but if you have one that you think that lines up with, I'm happy to.
yeah, it's actually I think his danger will go up,
Mm-hmm.
mundane will go down as
Okay.
he realizing that if he really wants to help the Harbor Kids, given his name, his reputation, plus being with the Harbor Kids, he's got to just embrace being a hero at times, even if he does have to go toe to toe against his family at times.
Mm-hmm. I think that looking at all of you too, is like I would also just say, like, as a part of just understanding what it is that you want before pursuing publicity just out of its own sake, I think that there's sometimes a personal value that can be found in staying in the shadows, so to speak. You don't have to be in the spotlight to help people.
Blair gets a kind of a distant look in his eye.
It's certainly true also. Some heroes have found out to their dismay, and this is a reasonable concern, that if there are people in your life who are more vulnerable to the enemies that famous superheroes might make, it can be putting them in danger.
Indeed.
And I'm not saying any of this to suggest that all of you should not try to become better known in your community, if that is what you're interested in. I just think it's important to understand the full picture of what that means. But it's also true, of course, that you, as young heroes looking to find ways to better your community and to help people, if people know about you, then they know to ask you for help if there's needed. If they don't know about you, then they might feel that there is no one available to help them. And so just knowing that there are heroes around able to help you can be, in and of itself, a comfort to the community. And a warning sometimes to villains. You know, they know that the Seaport neighborhood is protected.
And Vanguard is just like, yeah. Like, honestly, sometimes I wish Grandpa talked like you.
Really?
Yeah, he's not as accepting of new ideas.
Oh, sometimes they're not that new.
Hmm. So what do you guys think? Like, do we want, like, I think we could be huge. I think we could be bigger than fighting,
Flair becomes like 9 feet tall, sitting in his chair.
I don't think being necessarily being celebrity is a good idea. Though I do think, you know, speaking to uh somebody at some point to explain what happened and how how we got how it got our attention is definitely a good idea. Like
So
with our run-in with the zoo crew, you know, let them know that, that's something that what we were alerted to by the gunpowder or by the mystic marksman, so that we could help where they might have been less available.
well, maybe we could get popular enough to make a little extra, like some merch, maybe, because we
I,
do kind of live in a warehouse.
Yes.
yeah, though I have I have heard tales of people who who try and get on news or other sorts of minor celebrity in order to make money, and they tend to crash more than anything, even if they actually have skills or something to demonstrate.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
I think it's one of those things where,
Mayhem has a day job.
yeah, I mean, I think it's
Well,
something we uh, have that be a future thing. Be like,
yeah.
that's something that we look
Well,
look to in the future.
here's an idea that
Mhm.
is maybe rather than starting big with news crews, we can start small with just the community and do community outreach things.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the
Help with community cleanup with
community cleanup, um, the shelters, making sure that we've got
Volunteer
appropriate
work.
mad scientist proof shelters in the area. Make sure that people know where to go, that kind of
I,
thing. Rather than
I
just waiting for something to happen, be a little more proactive in the area where we live.
I know I'm certain that I could find some people who would happily wish to learn basic first aid.
yeah.
Which, what better way to make someone feel like they're doing good in a community than by making them able to help others.
And hey, and maybe since we did help lukewarm, right? So maybe we could like network with some like, people like lukewarm. So we could go maybe like, he gets affiliated with the fire department. And so like when he gets called out for a big fire, he could be like, I've got friends in the Harbor Kids, right? Like,
Hopefully
because let's be
coordinating
honest,
that.
when like, can you guys think of the last time a hero turned a villain to a hero?
Blair lists off 17 times that it's happened in the last 50 years.
It's trying to be motivational.
But
It doesn't
Good
mean it's
try.
not
It is
still
something
good
to
when it
know.
happens. I think at this point, like, like dinner is mostly done, and so
Help
who
wash
is
up
it that
dish.
is helping Nona? Yeah, wash the dishes while this conversation is happening. Because
I'll
the
do it.
apartment is not so big that this group
Yeah.
conversation can't still happen while dishes are
Yeah.
getting washed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's happening. And I think she does chime in at one point too. Is like, and there's something to be said for when those fights do break out. Use your good stuff, so to speak. Obviously, you want to be careful not to hurt people, but at the same time, it's good for the construction industry to have things to fix. And people like to see the powers. That's what they want to see. That's what they want to hear about.
That's part of my problem. No. My powers are dangerous.
Yeah, and mayhem, that would be job security for you.
I think
Hey.
given the number of uh, heroes and villains in the city, I have job security covered, kinda.
I have a feeling that even without heroes and villains, your abilities would give you job security.
I think she is kind of zeroed in on what Antares was saying. Is like you were the one helping do dishes with
Yes.
her, right?
Yes, I was.
So I think she kind of stops and she kind of gives you a gesture that you should sort of get down to where she can like look you in the eye, because she's
Yeah.
like, I think like a foot shorter than
She's
you.
much shorter than me.
But yeah, so, and she just says, darling, I understand that it can be scary to go out in the world uncertain of your capabilities or your ability to control your effect on the world, but powers or no, that's what everybody's life is, my dear. It's part of life. You have to do what you can and not be endlessly afraid of consequences, preventing you from acting in the world. You have to be who you are, and you have to do things in order to find out who that is. And I think she is actually going to try to shift your labels to, I think, I think she's trying to like increase your danger and reduce your mundane.
I'll take it, actually.
Okay.
Hey, that makes me even less mundane and more dangerous than ever. Wow. Now with danger 3 and mundane of -2. Wow, that's going to be really interesting for what's coming up.
This
Wow.
guy's on the edge.
Antares and Curie are polar opposites in that.
Yes, I mean, I think it's so like obviously. I think we can all understand there's a dramatic irony here in her basically saying, "Stop worrying so much about destroying things with your powers. Just go do them anyway, because that's who you are."
By the way, guys, just so you know, fast forward to the future, she's the ultimate villain of the arc.
Oh, me? No.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
You all know better than that.
No, by the way, you guys, if you guys look, you'll see that Vanguard looks different. Not that he physically looks different, other than that he's actually bigger. Like he looks bigger And also his voice has cracked a little bit as he's
Mm.
talked sometimes.
I mean,
Vanguard.
how old are you?
He's
voice
no,
is-
absolutely. He should be well beyond that. But
Yeah. I-
But remember,
Yeah.
Vanguard.
he gained powers as we were fighting.
Right.
Mm.
Vanguard, are you okay?
He's like, yeah, I'm fine. Just I feel a lot stronger.
Yeah,
What I
you're.
had, I I unleashed my thing, which was new, but also I'm a lot stronger, and I gained the ability to fly. So
Yeah,
I think
you're.
that's why I've been so hungry lately. And by the way, he housed food. Like
Oh
he,
wow.
Yeah.
We might
Yeah.
need to do some examination of you when we get back to base. Want to make sure that you know you haven't had some sort of a power overload.
Well, I haven't sprouted another head.
Yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Knock
he's
on
just
wood.
a growing boy, Curie. It's good
Well-
to care about your friends, but there is such a thing as worrying too much.
Well, occasional examinations of people who exhibit new powers is a good precaution to make.
You know?
She nods and goes,
But yeah, he's like, but guys, I was also thinking like we could fix up our hide. Like, I mean, I call it. I guess it's a hideout, but like it could be a headquarters. I'm
I
not
thought
saying.
it was a headquarters.
I mean,
But
it is, but
It
like,
could be a known headquarters. People see the giant robots stopping, and they come to our headquarters to tell us.
it could be like the Mystic Marksman.
Yeah, I don't think we need to have it be that big yet. I maybe, have a call button on the outside in case somebody needs to report something. But
Hey, even the Ghostbusters had to start somewhere.
yeah, they did have a profit motive in mind at least.
But I think we should be looking for someone to be our PR, or maybe like our Janine.
I mean, we all answer the phones.
Sure, but like a unifying
Okay.
presence, like the Ghostbusters wouldn't be the Ghostbusters without Janine.
Flair's far away look comes back.
To be fair, Flair, you could answer the phones and do it in different voices each time.
I like those Ghostbusters. They had a good idea and they pursued it no matter what anybody said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at least in our case, the people in the government have some idea of how things can be dangerous, so they'll approach it with that you know with actual caution in mind. I
And,
hope, at least.
and I mean, hey, technically, we're twice as risky as the Ghostbusters. Because we have two technical nuclear threats
Mm,
and one
each,
walking physical disaster. I mean, mayhem causes mayhem.
yeah, that is true.
You
See?
I mean, the Ghostbusters did have a portable nuclear reactor in each of their backpacks.
unlicensed portable
Yeah.
nuclear reactor to be
Yeah.
to be pedantic.
And I believe their containment was considered as such as well. So that's
Yeah.
so technically even Janine had one that she was around all the time.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if you think about it, Dickless was right.
Oh dear.
So technically, we are safer than the Ghostbusters. So we should definitely be helping the city. and we should let them know about it. And also, this would definitely get my grandpa off our back. And if it gets him off our back, maybe I can see if I could get some funds from the Mystic Marksman so we could like fix up the warehouse and not have a broke down superhero vehicle in our living room.
I like this
It-
ship.
Yeah, it makes for has great frames for bunks.
Well, what if it was the Harbor Mobile and actually worked?
Mm,
I think we'd probably need to source an engine for that.
I think it would need to be entirely rebuilt.
Mhm.
Like I actually honestly, have you looked at where it joins up with the ceiling or where it sticks out the ceiling? There's some pretty significant rust up there.
Okay, so maybe we could just get one designed after it. But what all I'm really saying is,
You don't want to work in a beaten down warehouse.
yeah,
I think Nona Olivia had settled at this point into her, her like overstuffed
Yeah.
recliner,
Chair.
and I think that
I
she
think
had
that's
just
a-
been
I think
listening,
s-
but then there was a moment where she's like, "Hmm, yes, hmm."
Oh,
Yeah.
no, we should,
I
yeah.
think it's time for us
It's time
to
for us to go.
take our
You see,
Oh,
Yep.
so
Van-
soon. I
you see Vanguard
enjoyed your
quickly
company.
making an extra plate.
Wow.
Yep. Eh,
Don't have to worry about leftovers.
Of course not.
Never.
But no, but we could
Oh,
definitely continue this back
Carrie
at our
Carrie
warehouse.
would have taken asked to have some a box to bring to Alano because
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah.
that can't have her miss out
I
again.
think it's a Tupperware and hands it over with just I do want that Tupperware back when you're done.
Mhm.
I will remind Mayhem to bring it back to you.
She looks
You
at
won't
Mayhem
have
and
to.
I was gonna say she like looks to Mayhem and says, "You can bring it back when you bring back the other three."
Oh wow.
As Vanguard sneaks into his Tupperware and pops a meatball in his mouth, he goes, "Don't worry, I'll be back."
I hope so. Now, good luck to you all, and keep the streets safe out there.
We will do our best.
Good night, Nona.
All right, so
um,
uh,
I was something I was wondering during all the conversation. Could Kiri have done straight up creeping?
sure. Yeah, let's see. Hang on, let me look at that move.
Uh, when you scope out a person.
Oh, no, I remember the broad strokes. I was just gonna look at it more specifically. Yeah, so scope out a person or a place. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So you're rolling plus mundane.
Oh, I got a
Oh.
miss.
Oh dear, yeah.
Oh no.
On a miss, you find yourself in over your head. I think what for the context here, I think what this just is you are literally starting to think like maybe just while everyone's talking, maybe just do a little snooping and see if you find anything like weird or suspicious. And I think what ends up happening is that you destabilize the Tetris closet and so I think you are adept enough that like it's not like a crashing avalanche of stuff out, but I think that we, in the comic issue here, we would have a nice fun little sequence where we're seeing the dialogue bubbles of everyone else's conversation from around the corner and watching you like trying to like hold up like 5 different things and get it all put back into the closet the way that it was.
Oh, okay. And I get at least stable for a second, close the door, and then walk out, attempting to be as calm as possible.
Yeah. I think there's maybe a condition in that for you.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think afraid. Like,
Okay.
well, hmm,
No,
no,
go with your gut.
insecure.
Go with your gut.
You know, but
Okay,
you know,
afraid.
you
Yeah,
know what
like
Curie's feeling.
yeah, because
Mhm.
I don't want to get in trouble
I
with
don't
anything.
understand why anyone would be afraid of Nona Olivia. She's just a tiny little thing. Wouldn't hurt a fly.
Right. As the
Uh,
yeah, think about yeah, when they were like, he thought we were gonna kill him upon arrival.
But he was wrong.
That is true. He was.
Yes. Certainly not going to blame me for his misunderstanding.
No one should be afraid of Nona Olivia. Nona Olivia is sweet and she makes delightful lasagna.
Hmm.
yeah,
Anyone who
well,
cooks this good can do no wrong.
like this kind,
Mhm.
kindly old, or kindly woman to
Yeah.
her evening.
Yep. I
Well,
told you she was good people.
mhm.
Exactly. It's like,
You're right.
so also, guys, so a part of this, should we get like a uniform?
Ooh,
I think if anything, I like the idea of maybe not necessarily uniform, but an a symbol to put on what uh, our
Own
separate.
insignia. Yeah,
Can we make
insignia.
it? Can we make it color coordinated?
yeah. See, one of the problems with having a uniform for everybody is that somebody's complexion is not going to fit well with whatever color scheme you've got. I, for example, am a summer.
Mm-hmm.
I I Curie that type of thing is one of those things that Curie is like bit lost on, but
Yeah.
I
Hey, it works for the
she
Fantastic Four.
I mean, and Flair, you're not wrong. I do love and prefer earthen tones as well. Like fall is like my season, but like we could do to be fair, we could do seasonals. We could do seasons.
Mm.
well
Have
I
like
do have
a
to
costume
say
that changes color every so often.
You could have the summer uniform and the winter
Uh,
uniform, just
right,
like
right,
in
right.
a high school anime. You know.
Yeah.
I do have to say that my coat was made uh, made for me as a gift and sort of a promise.
But that could be like, listen, like every superhero has a costume, but we could just like coordinate. So we
Mhm.
show up, as we show up together, we're like a unit. The Harbor Kids.
So what?
Yeah.
So what symbol, like, says harbor to you aside from a dead fish?
What about an anchor?
I mean, the dock, a pier,
It could be
A
a
wave.
boat, a
boat, yeah,
wave.
a
Yeah,
wave.
a wave.
Hmm.
Like who is that Japanese artist who does the wave thing?
Yeah. See, we could get like it could be like a wave, and I don't know. We could have
Actually,
I'm
I
envisioning this conversation happening as you're walking down
yeah.
the
Yeah.
sort of like increasingly quiet but not totally deserted yet, evening streets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like perhaps if you look at a pier, the way that you know the posts and the surface kind of forms an H, and a wave makes a K, or that next to a wave kind of makes a K. It's a thought.
So I think that the comic panels we would see there is, we would watching the Harbor Kids walk down the streets towards their headquarters, and the point of view pulls back, and then we're at the waterfront where we're seeing this from a distance, and the out on one of the piers there's a little row of these like kitschy little pop-up stands that like this whole building wasn't there 2 days ago, but now there's a little store there.
Uh-huh.
Tiny little seasonal stores, that sort of thing. And just as we pull back, we watch as someone walks into one, and then the whole shop just sort of tilts backwards and falls into the water suddenly, like with a whoosh.
Ruh-roh.
But
Do we
That
have
was-
man-eating warehouses? Do we have an infestation
Yeah.
of man-eating warehouses?
This is a danger to our headquarters.
once again, this is a dramatic irony. The Harbor kids do not see this happen, but
Yeah.
Of
Ah,
course.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
little foreshadowing.
yeah. I think they're all trying to convince Mayhem that actually, yeah, not showing up to a battle in her street clothes is a good idea.
I mean, honestly, like, Alano needs something good for hero work. I know someone who could outfit both you and Alano, no issue. And I think he would be willing to do so if we do some other specific hero work for him or for them. Yeah.
I had one, and I left it behind. So I'm not. I'll be honest. I'm not real interested in
Or at least
going
something
through that again.
that you can wear underneath your standard clothes that will be as durable as you are.
Mm.
And honestly, I wouldn't be at all surprised if they would be able to make it look like, Bill, like change appearances so it's like you change clothes every day. Just, within a basic pattern.
I mean, I'm up for helping Alano, but not real interested for myself.
Well, how about this? I'll drop it as just if we go and see them, you have a talk with them, have a chat.
Mm.
Well, what if you could get a suit that was as durable as you are, but it was like cool? Because like there's some tech superheroes that could like make you something that will transform.
That's actually what I was thinking.
Mm.
I think it's so. I think just for context, Curie is referring to the needle, and I
Yeah.
think that the needle is one known amongst several, superhero suit makers. Basically, I think this is like if you're getting into the industry, you become aware of these places, and so I think just for context, I think you would all be aware,
Yeah.
at least by reputation, of the needle.
Okay.
Yeah. And like, they made this coat made this for me, and it was in response to our first action, actually.
And my grandpa definitely has a suit made by the Needle. I don't know if he still wears it, but he definitely got one. I feel like it's like a superhero rite of passage almost. Like you go to the Needle, and the Needle's like, you know what, you got the stuff, kid. But
I think Gunpowder Guardian hasn't suited up in a while. I think like his new model is the suit. Not the comics the hero suit, but like a business suit type of.
yeah, it's actually
his
a
mayor
suit.
suit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually a suit.
Yeah.
Does this mirror suit include a top hat?
No.
Probably.
No.
Oh no. It actually includes a Stetson.
Ah. Okay.
That's much more classy.
Yeah.
Much more
And it
And
goes-
in
classy.
character.
And yeah, exactly. That's what he said. He goes, I don't like the hat, but it's in character.
It's a
Yeah.
classy bolo tie too instead of a regular
Excellent. He's Kurt Russell from Yellowstone.
Yeah. Yeah. I I just think you should have a talk with them. They have they have some good ideas. Even heck, I imagine that they would have some experience with people who have history somewhat like yours, where it's not necessarily nice.
Well, I mean, also though, man, like, let's be real. You have a job, like an actual like 9 to 5 job. So like I bet your boss would be like either happy that he had a superhero working for him or happy that like no one knew he had a superhero working for him
He
because
knows. He
well I mean
knows. That's how I got the job is because I can lift the car over my head. That's the
hey,
selling point.
you know what? If we get famous as the Harbor Kids, you could be like, "Hey, boss, that's free advertising for your contract company."
His free advertising is me calling him up and saying, "Hey, boss, there's some damage at this place and this place. If you want to go ahead and get in on the bidding to fix it."
I mean, hey, it's a little bit of superhero insider trading. It's fine. It's fine.
Well,
Uh,
Mayhem. So you know too that like your boss Austin Gallant is like he certainly understands that like there's a need for superheroes and everything they do. He's not like ungrateful or thinks that they're actually really a problem or a menace or not anything like that. But you do also know that it's like for him it's not about just like, oh well, more damage equals more work, that's good for us. It's more like,
Yeah.
like he sees that there's a lot of history in Halcyon City that if a famous building gets wrecked, sure you can put up a new building, but something is still lost there.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, he really like respects like what you can do, and he's also again in favor of superheroes, but broadly speaking, like for him it's about like helping to fix what's broken, not just about
Mm-hmm.
finding more work.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I think that it is, as it's getting late, are all of you going back to the headquarters for the night, or are you?
I'm
Hilarious.
going back home
Mhm.
for reasons that people don't remember from last episode.
yeah, I remember.
Yes.
You have an appointment in the morning.
Yeah.
I have an appointment in the morning I haven't told the rest of them about.
Mm-hmm.
I think um I think Carrie would once get to the headquarters, Carrie would be like, I'll be back in a little bit. I do feel the need to report our conversation to the chef.
Okay, that's in a completely different part of town, but you can do that if you want.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Carrie's gonna.
And Vanguard goes, "Are you really gonna walk that far by yourself?"
I might do some climbing to take some shortcuts, but
Well, I was like, "Well, you know what? I'll come with you. I can't go like because the last time you guys went out by yourself, you ran into an actual supervillain."
sure. You know what? I can't. I can't
Can't
argue with
argue.
that. So
He's like, "Yeah, we'll go." And hey, if I can get some of that cake, I'll bring it back.
okay.
He might have some like fried pies or something. You never know. You could have like a tart or something.
Well, I don't plan on actually going inside. I
Oh,
simply plan on ringing the buzzer and informing anyone that answers that uh, the Harper kids have uh, passed on the message and uh, hopefully the price is paid.
and you see the
I wouldn't say. I'll be honest. I wouldn't say anything about the price. Just say, "Hey, the Harper kids. I delivered your message to Nona Olivia."
Yeah,
And
and
leave
that's,
it at that,
And-
because that is, otherwise you are opening up a kettle of fish.
yeah. And guess what? He's like, and Vanguard goes, and besides, I can practice flying now. It's later, no one's watching.
You might want to be a bit careful on that because you never. There are people who are night owls,
Sure.
not even superheroes, not even superhero night owls, but
I mean,
just
this is
people
a
that
big
are
city. There's people around,
Yeah.
like, you know.
And yeah, and Vanguard's like, it's fine. You see him putting on his suit.
okay.
And he puts an arm around your shoulder. He's like, you're coming with me. And he takes off.
So I'm just going to go ahead and suggest that what happens here is we follow Curie and Vanguard to the part of town where you had, contracted for and then picked up the cake. And at that same door, there is a little, there's that little buzzer.
Press the button. Press the buzzer.
And you get a little automated message that says, Halcyon City Dry Cleaning, our hours are 8 to 5 a.m. Monday through Friday. And you realize that the little sign that said Le Chef isn't on the little board anymore.
Interesting. Okay. I guess. Huh.
Well, maybe Nona Olivia will know next time we need to find the chef.
Perhaps.
This is not
Okay.
real. I was just going to say, someone walks by and just says, why, Le Chef hasn't operated in Halcyon City for 20 years.
I think that's the kind of thing that goes through Curie's mind.
No, so actually someone does say that, and then when you all like make a face, they just say, you guys are so gullible. And then
Yeah. But look, I was like, but hey, don't worry about it. To be fair, if he is like a crazy golden age supervillain, the Harbor kids got a cake from him. That's kind of dope.
Perhaps. It's
Especially if the
just
cakes
like
are known to be like, especially if the cakes are known to be like delicious. Like,
I mean, it was the best cake I've ever had before, but still. There's certain debts I don't ever want to have hanging over my head longer than they have to.
well, look, if the chef comes back looking to collect a debt from you, I'll punch him in the face.
I don't
Very,
think
very
Le Chef
bad.
asked you for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I do remember I said that I basically promised to report back if or
Well, I don't think he ever asked you to do that. I think
Oh,
he said,
okay.
tell Nona Olivia we're done, and then that was the end of it. He didn't request anything else. But like I'm not saying you wouldn't have felt the responsibility or the desire to report back, but I don't think he ever asked for it.
Okay.
And Vanguard's like,
Hey, well,
Vanguard's
I
like, hey,
guess
look, you've done all you can to let him know you did what he asked. If he's got a problem with it, do you think a guy with like an army of ninja pastry chefs couldn't find us? We are the Harbor.
I know he could.
Yeah. So if he wants to talk to you again, he'll find you. Hey, what if you wake up in the morning and there's like a cupcake next to your bed?
Just
Or at the
just
foot
the
of-
top of the cupcake.
Yeah, a muffin top.
Okay.
That would freak me out. I would be scared if there was a partial cupcake next to me. A full
Com-
cupcake,
bisected
I would
as
say.
if by a razor right down the middle.
It's in a little
Yeah.
box with a ribbon on it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when you stand up and look at the floor, there's like a little trail of crumbs going out the door.
And
So you
sprinkle 'em.
realize that somebody has literally split it in half and walked off eating half of it.
The cake stays in the picture.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yes, alas, you know, um, just for fun, like my first idea before just the dry cleaning being there was like the building's a burned out shell when you get there. No, that's again, but that's
Yeah.
not what it is. It's just but yes, it's.
Dry cleaning it's definitely a good twist.
Mm. So
Well,
does
I
everyone
guess
else just kind of go and settle in, or?
back to HQ.
Yep.
All right. Well, in the morning, Antares, you have an appointment. You've,
I have a doctor's appointment. Yep.
Yeah, you've made this appointment to report to Haversham Laboratories,
Yep.
and I think the you. So, are you going in costume?
No, I don't think that's necessary.
Okay. So I think that you are. The address is for a building that's called like the. There's a specific place in Boston called the Innovation and Design Center. I'm trying to think of a name that's not quite that. But it's basically it's a great big building that used to have a role in like it used to be more like offices, but it's been converted and given kind of like development grants for like laboratory spaces, and it's been like renovated so that it can provide like the utilities, different utilities, and different sorts of uh, fittings and interiors that like manufacturing and laboratory spaces would need. And so there's a number of different companies and laboratories that sort of make use of spaces within this much larger building, and it runs along kind of the docks. And so like there was parts of it that used to be for like shipping companies and so on, and it's this really long building, like just walking along this one building, it's like half a mile long.
Wow.
There's an actual real building I'm thinking of here. But so, on like the lower level actually has just like a bunch of like restaurants that are just places for all of the people who work in this area to eat. But you have a little addresses, up on the third floor on, block C. And, sure enough, there's just a little, glass door with the Haversham Laboratories stenciled on it. And there's a reasonably nice looking sort of lobby. It's a small place. There's a receptionist and a desk, and you can see that there's like a small conference room kind of off to one side, and then some doors that say authorized personnel only back in the back. But as you enter, the receptionist looks up and just says, welcome. You have an appointment with Dr. Havisham today, yes?
That's correct.
Wonderful. If you'll just have a seat, I will let her know you're here.
Thank you. So I'll perch on the edge of a seat, kind of nervous, kind of antsy, looking around.
I think that there's a magazine sitting on the little table there that it's kind of like popular cosmology.
Oh, I'll look at it just to try to be less
There's
nervous.
a lot of ads in it, but
I don't need a
it's
telescope. Don't need that.
it's It's like new delegation reveals the secrets of the Horsehead Nebula. Um, but yeah, so I think you're there for just a few minutes when you know a young woman, she's perhaps 30 something, has hair kind of tied back into a messy bun, like dark glasses, wearing a lab coat over, nice outfit, classic lady scientist vibes. You all know who
Hmm.
I'm talking about, right? Like, I don't mean
Mhm.
a specific person, but I think you've got the mental picture, is the point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So she just she comes out and says, yes, welcome, welcome. Uh, while you're here, would you like me to call you Antares or?
You can call me Antares. That's fine.
All right. Well,
Since I am here in that sort of capacity.
sure, sure. You were out of costume. I wasn't sure if you were
I,
wanting to
I, I,
go by.
well, yes, but I also didn't want to, you know, bring undue attention to your establishment. Seeing a superhero go walking in might get.
Yes. Well, absolutely. I appreciate your discretion. I would say if you wish in the future to come in costume, that is absolutely fine. There's not a problem either way. I'm just so glad that you decided to take me up on my invitation. Shall I give you a tour and we can talk a little bit about um, how we might help each other?
Let's do this.
Wonderful. And so I think she takes you back through this like authorized personnel only door, and there's a, sort of a nondescript corridor. Like there's some bathrooms there and a tiny little office break room, standard stuff. And then through another door, there's you're in kind of this uh, like surprisingly big laboratory space, given the sort of front office part seemed relatively small. But now you're in sort of a big, I don't want to say like airplane hangar size, but like it's a big room. It's maybe 40 feet across,
Hmm.
not 40 feet, more than that, like 100 feet across. High ceilings, like maybe 20-foot ceilings, bare sort of like industrials, polished concrete floors in here. And you can see that there's a number of different stations of various types of fancy looking, like electrical and scientific equipment. And a lot of these different sort of stations have different kinds of um, machinery. Some of them have obvious things that look like they might be designed to connect to like a chair that's sitting there, like where
Hmm.
there's some obvious interaction with a humanoid shape that might be designed there. But then there's also a lot of these things all seem to connect to this big sort of central machine that has, I think what, those I'm forgetting what they're called, but it's the little like globe with the electrical, the everyone knows what I'm talking.
A pantograph machine, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So, is that what it is? I think.
Pantograph generator, yeah.
No, I know what you mean. That's not what I'm
Oh,
thinking of. I mean the little
oh,
thing that's got the little plasma ball inside, and you touch the
oh.
outside of the glass, and it does the little electrical things. I think it might just be called a plasma ball. Plasma,
Uh,
yeah, plasma
yeah,
globe.
plasma globe.
That's
Yes,
so.
you're right.
That's what I was looking for. Vandergraaf generators also very cool, but just wasn't what I was
Oh,
thinking of. But so it looks kind of like one of those, but like it's a big one, and it's got some kind of glowing energy inside that occasionally sort of arcs out to the glass, but is contained within this sphere. And there's a lot of other equipment around it. And she just says, so obviously, you have your own personal connection to various cosmic energies that I'm sure gives you an intuitive understanding of these energies. But if I may ask, do you have any scientific education on the subject?
on my powers, no. I am a teenager. I've learned some, basic high school physics and chemistry, and that's about
Mm.
it.
Certainly, certainly. Nothing wrong with that, of course. I'm just wanting to make sure that I don't um, when I know my audience, so to speak, when trying to explain some of these things, we are in the business of studying various types of energy and finding ways to first understand how these energies work, and then to, if possible, apply them to in ways that can benefit society. And
Hmm.
so, one of the many things that we have been experimenting with is recognition that many of the energy wielders, such as yourself, out in the world, when they make use of their powers in these uncontrolled environments, often very effective, of course, if you're fighting some sort of a supervillain and you need that sort of destructive power to be wielded. But I'm sure you can imagine that it is not exactly an efficient process. There is a great deal of energy that is just lost to the environment in the process.
I think I've heard of the laws of thermodynamics. So basically, I'm wasting energy that could be more effectively channeled and harnessed.
Certainly, I wouldn't necessarily call it a waste if you're achieving the outcome you're seeking, but it is nonetheless true that it perhaps in a controlled environment, you could more efficiently capture more energy with the same output of your own ability.
So
And
kind of like it said, like those old kind of, those old light bulbs that heated up, kind of like changing that to an LED light bulb.
yes, quite. Or for that matter, uh, when you use your powers, and please, I would be very interested in hearing about your subjective experience of what it is like when you channel these energies. Um, but when you use the powers, you are expressing it. I'm sure there's some degree of effort involved, but when you do it, the energy is expressed and then it is over. But could that energy perhaps be stored in such a way that it could perhaps either be used later or even by another individual entirely?
I've never been able to store it. When I bring up the burn and flare it, I have to basically kind of rev myself up to then discharge the enemy energy in a number of different ways, but I've never been able to keep it permanent. It's kind of like I summon it out of somewhere and use it, and sometimes can't control it, and then it's gone, and I have to bring it all back out again. I've never been able to. Uh, my my counterpart Flair, who's from the sun, has a permanent nuclear reactor in their body, but I've never been able to keep the power
Ah, yes,
permanently.
the sun dweller
Yeah,
physiology is fascinating indeed. I think that in uh, their existence must be a fascinating one. Um, However, your specific variety of energy, I think that we may be onto a breakthrough where that sort of energy, if channeled in through the proper technology, could be stored or regulated in such a way to give you a finer degree of control over exactly how the energy is expressed.
that sounds very interesting to me.
Wonderful, wonderful. I was hoping that you would be interested. So I suppose, do you have any questions for me? We could certainly go station by station and explain each part of the process, but I
I
don't
would
want
like
to
to know.
overwhelm you with
No, but I
details.
would like to know at least at a high level what each of these machines do and what I'm in for.
Sure. Without me necessarily like
Right.
just
Yeah.
listing a bunch of machines, I think what she kind of just shows you is a number of different sorts of setups that are all designed to be sort of slightly different ways. Like they're testing different possible means of capturing energy that might get expressed. And you see, like some of them, like that have the chair, are like configured in such a way as like, well, do your powers come out of your hands or do they come out from somewhere else? Is it something that, like, so different sorts of Are there like electrodes that need to be attached to the skin? Does there need to be sort of like gauntlet conductors or whatever? So there's a lot of that sort of thing. But she's basically just explaining that all of this equipment does seem like it is designed to interact with either superheroed in powered individuals that can wield energy, but also there are areas where it's just kind of like you can see that there's sort of these like modular canisters that she explains are a bit like batteries that can be sort of plugged. And the idea of saying, can this power, once it is stored, can it be, channeled, can it be transferred, and how to do that safely, and monitoring all of that. And then the big sort of plasmasphere is sort of simultaneously a power supply and a power dump, meaning it is designed to be able to hold and contain a great deal more energy than it currently does. And so they can draw on it to power some of the other experiments that they have. But because some super powered people can end up, as you know, with sort of an uncontrolled expression of the energy, it's designed to be kind of like a lightning rod for grounding that energy, so it's not destructive within the space.
Wow, that sounds very interesting.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
I know this is just our first meeting. I wanted to introduce you to the space and to tell you a little bit about what we do. What we would be interested in engaging you on, if you are interested and willing, is participation in some controlled experiments, whereupon we would, if you are comfortable with this, ask you to try to express your powers under our controlled environment so we can see if some of it could be channeled, controlled, refined, etc., and to try to just understand your powers better. And of course, we would share with you whatever knowledge we glean as a result.
So I can understand my own powers better. Yes, I understand. Yes.
And we would be prepared. We know that this is the sort of thing we just for ethical purposes, as you would be contributing to our research, there would be a stipend involved, but we could have that either sent to you or to transmitted to any other organization you would wish.
Not to be mercenary, but how much of a stipend are we talking about here?
An amount of money that would mean a lot to someone who wasn't as wealthy as you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, if someone who is, struggling rent month to month on rent for a 1-bedroom apartment, it would make a lot of difference. But for you, it's kind of like, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
So I'll take the money, but I'm definitely going to just like disperse it and use it for around the community.
It is, of course, your business what you would like to do with it. If you would like us to directly send it to anyone else, we can, or that's up to you. Of course, it will
No,
be your
I'll
money.
handle it. Thank you.
Yes. And so, obviously, I don't want to have it be a mercenary thing either. I think everyone here is interested in this for the furtherance of science and knowledge of the universe.
Where do you get your funding, if I might ask? This must cost a fortune.
Oh, well, I mean, there are, of course, if we were able to present an achievable, efficient technology with the means of using cosmic energies for, storage and powering of technology. I mean, there are, of course, many applications that could be useful for. And so, the research arms of many organizations says this is we are independent in the sense that we are not directly under any sort of a larger corporation or funding, but that is why we've received our research grants.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Back of my mind, I'm thinking, who's actually backing this? But I'm not going to bring that up yet. But that's
we
entirely
have a disclosure sheet that we could provide to you if you're interested.
Blink, blink. I would appreciate that actually.
Of course.
Right.
Uh,
So you wanted to get some preliminary baseline stuff done today, I understand?
well, if you are willing, obviously we wanted to give you the tour and the briefing first, but whatever you are willing to,
Yeah.
so we will of course need you to just sign some paperwork. If you wish to have someone look over it, that is completely understandable. We just want to make sure everything, of course, is on the up and up.
Sure. I'll look over the paperwork before I sign it.
Okay.
To see.
Does that mean you're going to take it somewhere, or you're just reading it through on your own?
I'm just gonna read it through on my own.
Okay, well, that sounds like we need a roll for that.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Pierce the mask.
Well, I think you could do a pierce the mask if you wanted in this broader situation, but I think assess the situation is what you're specifically doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's roll superior. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not great at that. So this could be fun.
Okay, well,
Oh yes.
that-
As I
that's a
said, this
miss.
could be
Yeah.
fun.
So I think that you're looking over this disclosure sheet she gave you, and then the legal language here. I think that, like almost any of us would, in terms of trying to like read and understand a contract for a technical arrangement in this way, it's like you can follow most of it, but then it just kind of gets into some specialized language that you sort of just feel like everything you can sort of follow sounds fine. But there are parts of it that really just your eyes kind of start to glaze over. It's not even that you read it and you feel like you don't understand it. It's like a lot of it is just feeling like it's kind of why say something in 10 words when you can say it in 500 words? That sort of thing. But
Yeah.
of course, you understand that's kind of how legal stuff has to work because it's just trying to be very specific so there's no disagreement about it, right? But it's hard to kind of get through, and so I think what your 5 kind of just reflects here is you read like about half of it, and what you read sounds okay, but you just sort of feel like you're increasingly thinking like I've just read the same paragraph 3 times. I'm not getting anything more out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I finally do just sign it
Okay.
because that's the more interesting thing to
Sure, yeah.
do.
And of course, we know also that this is fraud on your part because you lied about being of age. So,
I did. Yes, I have. I have mentioned that, yes. Mm-hmm.
But in any case, though, she looks at that and just says, "Wonderful," and I appreciate you doing this. We will, of course, have a copy made up for you so that you can review it and if you ever have any questions about it, I apologize. I know it's a lot. It's just one of those things where, when we receive these grants and we're performing, we are licensed by the city and permits and so on. There's just a lot of we need to make sure there's liability and all of that. But now, of course, with that out of the way, we can get to the fun stuff. And so, if it is not rude of me to ask, can you tell me a little bit about what is using your powers for you? What does it take for you to do it? How is it expressed? We have some, of course, public information about this, but your own description of what it feels like to wield it, what it requires of you internally. This is important for us to know how best to set up an apparatus for you.
Well, there's kind of 2 levels to my powers. There's the basic meta, unleash my powers, where I kind
Sure.
of just bring up a small amount of cosmic energy and try to warp reality with it.
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like the baseline of what I can do. Where I'm getting that cosmic energy, how this actually working. I do talk with my hands a lot because I
Mm-hmm.
kind of use my hands to direct that
Yeah.
force. And then there's what I call the burn, where I just summon up a lot of cosmic energy.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, Doctor, I often have to be kind of beaten up a bit or a little off my game to actually be able to tap the dark part of myself to bring up that power,
Mm-hmm.
and then I can unleash in a number of different ways.
Yes, yes.
I call those flares.
Well, I can understand how that could be a difficult request, and so I wouldn't press you to do that unless you felt comfortable doing so. It's not entirely atypical amongst individuals with energy powers similar to yours, but of course, every individual is different. I wouldn't want to presume. One thing that I will say is that she is just literally like hanging on every word, really
Yeah,
interested in
it's
all this talk about your powers. And so this is shifting, attempting to shift your labels, raising your freak and lowering your mundane, because she
my
is
freak is already
interested and
3.
excited. Oh, so can't, well, so in that case, I think that what we would be doing is
Yeah.
maybe raising your danger and lowering your mundane.
My danger and freak of both are it's 3.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I am really skewed at the moment.
Okay, well, I mean, those are the things that she's kind of like.
Yeah.
Um,
Isn't there a consequence when someone tries to raise it? And
is there? You
It's,
might
oh
be.
yeah. Oh
I
yeah,
thought there was a consequence for that.
Let's see. You might be
because
right.
that could be interesting.
Um, let's see. Um,
Oh, yep, you're right. If a label would shift up past 3 or down past -2, then no shift at all occurs. Neither two labels would change. Instead, you mark a condition.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
So you might want to resist that. Or not.
Yeah.
Maybe you need a
Well, well,
condition in order to be.
well, if I'm trying to show the burn and flares, I want the condition, but
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm if I think I'm going to start by resisting, then maybe I get talked into it. But I'm going to try to
Okay.
resist this.
Sure. So what page was that on, by the way? I just was
Uh,
looking for that
that
rule.
that was on page 40. Rules for labels.
Okay. Um, okay. Sure enough. Um, okay. Yeah. So I think in this case, then, if you want to try to resist that influence,
So that would be
yeah, when
the
someone,
zero.
when you reject someone's influence, you're just rolling, just straight dice.
Just a straight die.
Well, I think I don't know if you
Oh,
have
you're
a,
right.
a
You're right.
button
It's
for it
straight
on your
die.
move,
Yep.
but it is, yeah.
Um. Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
Oh wow. Full
Um,
hit.
a full hit, which means that you can choose two, which is to clear a condition or mark potential by immediately acting to prove them wrong, or shift one label up and one label down, your choice, or cancel their influence and take +1 forward against them. And so you can choose two of those, and obviously in this context, we can kind of interpret those however you like, since it's not really an antagonistic thing.
Right.
Although to some extent, rejecting their influence is kind of an inherently antagonistic thing to do.
It is. I will mark potential, and I actually will clear the condition of guilty.
Okay. But immediately acting to prove them wrong.
Make a sacrifice to absolve your guilt.
No.
No,
Yeah,
so when in the reject someone's influence, when you clear a condition or mark potential by immediately acting to prove them wrong, in this case, it would seem to me that she is basically saying it's exciting for you to be more on that freak side and less on that mundane side. And so acting to prove her wrong sounds like it would be acting more like a regular person and not focusing as much on the powers.
Flirt with
yeah,
her.
yeah. I think you're right.
Okay.
So Ironically, yes, it's like, yeah, yeah. So I will. I was about to start glowing, and then I shut that down immediately. Like, I'm feeling a little weird here.
Oh,
I'm.
I'm
It's a bit much.
I'm sorry. I certainly didn't mean to press. I'm just very excited about your involvement. Certainly, we wish to, um, perform some experiments, but we understand that it is a very personal request to make of you. I hope that I did not overstep.
No. Perhaps we should just schedule our next meeting, and we'll go from there, ground running.
Very, very good. Honestly, Rebecca, our receptionist out front knows my schedule better than I do. So, if you just want to schedule something with her, based on your convenience, that would be wonderful. Obviously, we're excited here to have you when you are able to be, but we are, of course, interested in having your full participation. We don't want anything to be making you uncomfortable.
Sure. Thank you, doctor. I will turn and then walk out, walk to this receptionist, make an appointment for some time, at least a week from now, and I'm going to try to be normal for a while, which is very weird for Antares. He's just going to go for a walk around the docks and kind of like, like just take in the sea air and try to be a mundane person for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not really shifting his own labels, but kind of like he's kind of like he got pushed a little too high. He's already high in the danger and freak, and now he's kind
Mm-hmm.
of reversing that and trying to, you know, be normal guy for a bit, which of course will last as long as to the next chaos that hits. But
Mm-hmm.
For a moment, he's going to be
Yeah.
normal
Well,
guy.
I think it does make like, if you were feeling some anxiety about like, you know, she's offering to help control your powers, but she's just so excited in your powers,
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
pushy, yeah.
hmm.
And so yeah, he took that very badly. It's like no, 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 I could be normal. I could be normal. I could normal.
Mm-hmm.
So he's running away from his problems again. You know.
Dude, what's more normal than going into a pop-up shop is that
That's on
happens?
the dock. Oh,
Mhm.
dun dun dun.
Yeah.
The GM's gonna throw
So
that
I
at me.
think,
I'm gonna
yeah,
jump into
so
that
I
trap.
think, yeah, so I will, you know what? I love that so much. That's so you have left that, area, and you've gone somewhere, near the water to kind of
Yeah.
just, what, brood?
No, well, not even brew, but it's kind of like reinforce that.
Try to
Yeah,
clear your
I
head
can
a little
clear
bit.
my head. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't have any conditions. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm trying to clear my head and enjoying that. I don't have any conditions for a while. It's like I'm a normal guy. I could be
Hmm.
normal. Sure,
Um,
sure.
so I think that, you're over there, and, you realize that you are sort of, there is, you can be normal, and then your body's kind of telling you, normal people get hungry. And so tell me what is the food smell that would really just uh,
uh,
trigger Antares' cravings right now.
since we're sort of basing Halcyon City kind of on a Boston thing, I'm going to go with fried clams.
Okay. Yeah, so I think, as you're standing there, you just suddenly smell, the the smell of fried seafood kind of wafting on the breeze. Stomach rumbles a little bit, and you look over, and
Yes.
one of these little pop-up shops is a little just like fried seafood stand.
Oh, perfect.
Down here, everything would be doused in Old Bay, but what is it up there in Boston? What's the seasoning they put on everything?
You know what? I think that there's really not an equivalent like seasoning that's on everything. It's like
Right.
there's a lot of fried stuff, and then you might put whatever you want on it, but there's not like a
Like tartar sauce and stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Or lemon. Yeah.
Yeah. So they would have various condiments and stuff like that. But so what I am going to say here is that, as you would you wander over to get some
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
He used to
so
follow his stomach.
as you go in, and these sorts of little pop-up shops are not an unfamiliar sight. Like they come and go. This is like you know today there's a bunch over here, and then tomorrow there's completely different ones across the street. This is ordinary sort of thing, but you haven't seen this one before. And as you go in, this little like it's not quite like a cargo container. Although literally there are some places like that near where I work, is that someone has set a cargo container on there, and then they furnished the inside, and now it's a little restaurant. Usually not dine in, but
Yeah.
anyway, so it's not quite like that. It's more of like a prefab construction where the whole building is basically just the small food truck sized kitchen, and then the shop counter, and then there's nowhere to sit. You sit out somewhere else, right? You just go up and get the
Right.
food. And I think as you go in, you see that there's someone who is like it's the one person working, right? And he's
Yeah.
kind of back doing the cooking, and you're looking at the menu, and there's like for a second it takes you a little bit to like something feels a little weird, and you're like, wait a minute, and you realize like the menu looked right at first, but now that you're trying to like actually read it, the words are like gibberish. It's almost like in a dream when you try to read a book. And then as you kind of recognize that, and then you glance over, and this sort of like this person that you saw was kind of like over slightly back into the kitchen part, who is like turned away working like the fryer. You sort of realize that like they're moving a little weird, and you sort of lean forward and look over the counter, and you see that like their feet are like melded into the floor. And then as you are starting to like take a step back, you realize your feet are now stuck to the floor in here, and then the comic panel is going to back out as we watch that whole little shop, like we saw the night before, go whoop into the water.
Oh boy.
So Antares, you are perhaps surprised.
Just maybe.
Yeah.
It's like-
And so I think that there is just sort of like a sensory overload here at first, because you are like, there's a deluge of water around you. Everything's disoriented. Like the entire shape of this little restaurant around you has like done like sort of like a weird organic sort of folding in, like somehow the entire interior of it was like when a frog inflates its little throat pouch or whatever.
Oh,
And so
God.
now it's like squished back in. And then as you are sort of swept away, and you are like feeling yourself pulled very fast in some direction, like what is your sort of immediate reaction here?
Try to pull myself free and try to find a way out.
Sure. Um, so I think in this case, do you think you are doing that in a sort of like a destructive, I'm trying to hit the things around me, or are you trying to just sort of like, would you say that you are engaging a threat or unleashing your powers?
I think I'm unleashing my powers to like change the environment around me.
Okay, so let's get a roll plus freak for unleash your
Okay.
powers.
Reshape my environment.
Wow, look at
14?
that. Kapow.
Wow.
14. So that's almost like the highest you could even roll. So like that's a 6 and a 5 on the dice plus your +3. That is certainly a hit. So describe to me how you basically just completely escape this thing that has enveloped you and grabbed you and is
Well,
pulling you through the water.
well, it wasn't quite as much as a burn, but I kind of used a bunch of the power I used to unleash to basically reshape the world around me and basically get my legs free so that I can just basically propel myself up out of the power and out of this creature. Basically, kind of rocketed myself out
Mm-hmm.
with using cosmic energy as a ballistic
Sure.
thrust out of this thing's mouth or
All
whatever.
right. Yeah. So as soon you managed to just blast yourself free of this strange sort of like like sticky organic sort of thing that had just grabbed you. But so now that means that you've blasted yourself free, but now you're in the water. And it's like cold and
Right,
dark, and it's not actually immediately obvious which way is up. You're very disoriented, but you are free from this initial trap.
right. Now I'm going to assess the situation, try to figure out the way back.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't go swimming to the bottom of the ocean right to
Yeah.
the bottom, right there to the top. So
So when
I'm just
you assess the situation, roll plus superior.
I'm not so good at that. So here we go. Yeah,
Well,
that
yeah,
wasn't
that
so
that's a
great.
miss. Yeah. So I think that what we see in the comic panel here then is actually um, Antari sort of flailing in the water. It's dark. We can't see which way is up. You're kind of starting to look a little bit like panicked, maybe, because obviously you're underwater. You weren't really prepared to like hold your breath for a long time, looking a little panicked. And then what we actually see reaching up out of from off the panel is an enormous lobster claw
Oh no.
that reaches up and grabs you around the waist and pulls you out of frame.
Oh.
So I think now, what has everyone else been doing with their morning?
Um, Flair is on patrol. He's like flying around the harbor area, just
Mm-hmm.
keeping an eye out for anything unusual. He's used to being the person who does this because he's the only one who's flying,
Mm-hmm.
who flies, and he's like, with being really nice. He's thinking as a thought bubble as he's flying around. Really nice having someone else in our group who can fly. That's going to make this make it so that I don't have to be doing this all the time,
Yeah.
because I've got some other plans. Uh,
So I think it maybe makes sense then that Flair might be who discovers what has happened. But in the meantime, though, what was everyone else up to?
Vanguard, he had breakfast, went, checked in with the Mystic Marksman, kind of did a little inventory, and I guess, to practice his own flying when Flair comes back, he would take over patrols.
Okay. So you just basically chilling,
Yep, just starting the
checking your
day.
emails.
Yeah.
I think Kiri is like we're in the training area. We have like some acrobatic setups, and Kiri is just kind of running through uh, some a course that would uh, almost be fitting a ninja warrior kind of thing, and just like uh, seems to just trying to be burning off some energy
All right.
because she has some stuff on her mind.
Sure. How about Mayhem? I'm
I
seeing.
want to think.
There.
No. I'm here. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I think. Uh, Mayhem is sneaking into Kiri's ninja course. And shifting things around on the sly, so that to make it more realistic and difficult.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Is
Um,
that something
you
where
know the you know that you know, if she's jumping from a high thing, and then she's supposed to land on another platform, the platform is just a little bit further out, or maybe a little bit further in, um, so that she has to adjust. Just what I want to say is that she's trying to make trouble.
Mhm.
Ah.
She's her inner chaos demon is out.
So, what is it that you were kind of hoping from? Like, like, because this almost feels like a provoke someone move.
Yeah. Sorry, my eyes are watering. I'm not.
That's okay.
That's all that is. All right, Mayhem, what are you up to? Talk to me, babe. Uh, um, I, I I think she wants to provoke Curie into fighting her directly, like getting into a sparring match directly,
Mm.
and to make Curie like to see what she actually really like could do in a fight, because Curie has a tendency to try and talk her way out of stuff. She has a tendency to um, use her words, whatever that means. And so uh, so mayhem, it's like, what could she actually do, like in a fight, in a straight up fight?
Mm.
And so she's trying to provoke Curie into like a serious sparring
Mm-hmm.
match.
All right. So, once again, just a brief reminder that we are playing a game that is designed to have teenage superheroes occasionally have a
Yeah.
conflict with one another. And so,
Oh
of
yeah.
course, anytime we have a player who doesn't like it, we can always talk about that. But in the meantime, it's also completely fine for characters
Go
to,
for it.
yeah. So, let's when you want to provoke someone susceptible to your words, roll plus superior.
All right. Do I have influence over Curie? I do actually have influence over
Yeah.
over Curie.
Mhm.
Um,
That's a
that's
full
a
hit. So
yeah.
so for PCs on a 10 plus, um, if they do what you want, which is to spar with you, then we add a team to the pool. And if they don't do it, they have to mark a condition. So tell us how this actually either blows up or doesn't.
I have an idea of how I can work. You do I move you do make adjustments, and each time, like, you can actually see Kiri, you can actually see that Kiri knows something happened. Like, she is actually observing things to make sure things, if things are moving or not. And you notice that they move actually rather easily, as if they're on track, like they're on tracks. And just like Kiri doesn't fall, she just rolls with the movement, and until, like, fifth time, instead of continuing on to the next obstacle, Kiri kicks off, and uh, just uh, kicks off, lands, rolls up to your face, and says, "Yes."
Nice reaction time. How about this? And I think Mayhem is gonna start a fight.
Okay.
Wow.
When you directly engage a threat, roll plus danger. Look at that.
Oh
12
boy.
full hit. So on a 10 plus, you're trading blows here. So 10 plus, you can pick two: resist or avoid their blows, take something from them, impress, surprise, or frighten, create an opportunity for your allies. And if you like, because this is sparring, the trade blows does not necessarily have to inflict conditions, but we can also imagine that maybe this fight is a little bit realer than you would, than you would want. So, like, what I'm just saying is that, like, uh, if you were going to inflict a condition, it wouldn't necessarily have to mean in the fiction that you're trying to kill your comrade,
Oh no,
right?
no, no, no,
Right.
no.
So, just trying to, define there.
Yeah.
So, but in any case, you're trading blows, which means you're inflicting a condition unless you tell me that you don't want to. But then you're also picking two of those things.
Okay. I think definitely deflecting blows
Okay.
on her, and um, I think just the I don't want to inflict a condition.
Mm-hmm.
What I think she wants to do is to make Curie take it seriously. She wants to
Mm-hmm.
impress,
Okay.
you know,
So you kind of pull the punch, but you're sort of doing it in a way that's kind of like, I could have done so much harder than that, and because you're,
yeah.
okay.
But Kiri actually watches like Kiri feels the fist brush by her cheek and watches as it goes. Really?
Mhm.
Okay, we're doing this.
Yep.
All right.
Hey, I guess. Would this be considered standing strong while dramatically under fire?
Yeah, potentially.
Okay, okay, cool. So,
This is one of your beacon powers.
yes, allows me to use savior instead of danger.
Oh, sure, yeah, for directly engage. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
think so. I mean, because the truth is, Mayhem is much stronger than you physically. A direct like
Okay.
sparring match is kind of more in her wheelhouse, but yeah,
Okay. And afraid would still
yeah, because
count.
that applies the
Okay.
move, not the stat, right? Okay, look at that. You got a full hit
Wow.
as well. So, in the same regard, you got you are trading blows as well, which means you can either inflict a condition or not as you choose, and then you can choose two of those items from the list.
Fury is going to inflict conditions,
Okay.
Okay.
and I think I think resist or avoid blows,
Mhm.
and uh, hmm hmm. I think impress, surprise, or frighten.
Sure.
It's like Kiri is, you haven't seen Kiri actually fight, and she is a fair amount more skilled and stronger than you would expect.
Mhm.
So like when I when he says okay, she is going to just turn and whip a foot to catch you in the gut.
What I was going to offer is just maybe given that you're non-powered but just very adept with both martial arts and acrobatics, is that the classic scenario here would be a judo style, using the opponent's strength and
Well,
momentum against them.
I think a lot of it is just with this, she's going less for like damage and more just for like pressure points, like
Okay,
like
sure.
going for the solar plexus to try and knock her breath out.
Okay.
And yeah,
I mean, because she's basically invulnerable, so it's kind of like
well, yeah, even invulnerable people have nerve endings that
sure,
nerve clusters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So what condition do you take, Mayhem?
Mm. Mm.
Because it feels,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to intrude as the GM, but it feels like there's maybe some resentment about Curie being so pushy about
Yeah.
Nona Olivia.
Yeah. Um. Mm, yeah.
Yeah,
I
don't
think.
overthink
I
it.
think
You know.
angry.
Yep.
I think angry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um.
It is an entirely reasonable thing for a teenager to provoke someone into a fight and then get mad when it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now what? Now you're mad. And I think actually, I think we maybe just have like a close-up panel of just like what game face is on now or something like that. But then I think we have just a very brief insert panel that's back to the same watery panel that Antares got pulled out of, and we just see a couple bubbles go boop, boop,
Oh boy.
boop.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, I think
But we don't know anything about that.
sure. But what I was going to say is, Flair, I think we are going to have you have been. I don't know that you necessarily saw Antares. And well, how about this? We can have you do an assess the situation roll to see
Right.
how much you see, how much you understand about. You see something weird, but what? How much?
Right. So that'll be rolling superior, I believe.
Yes. Assess the situation roll plus superior. Okay, so that's a 9. You can ask one of the questions. What here can I use to blank? What here is the biggest threat? Senator? What here is in the greatest danger? Who here is most vulnerable to me? How could we end this quickly?
I mean, I saw a small building just bloop into the water. Is that without really like?
Yeah, in a way that buildings usually don't.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm. And I think
I think the
actually
question. I think the
from
question of the.
above, you also sense that there's sort of a shape in the water as a
Okay,
result, like something in the water pulled the building in a strange
okay,
way,
not like it was designed to do that. It was like ripped free and.
or like it was never really a building at all. It was,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Um, well, I
Or
think the one that comes closest to what I'm trying to get at is like,
Mm-hmm.
what the heck's going on here? Is what here is the biggest threat?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, there's I think that it is clear to you that there
yeah,
is something big in the water that either was making a fake building that it just pulled into the water, or there was a building
yeah.
there and it just pulled it into the water and now it's moving away.
Okay.
And that
I'm
so
going
whatever that
to
is like a big serious something.
I'm gonna get on the harbor phone.
All right.
And it's like something is grabbing people, entire buildings off the harbor, at such and such an address. Um, you guys get over here.
Mm-hmm.
And and yeah, I'm going to take a more streamlined hydrodynamic shape, and like it looks kind of like a torpedo with like dolphin fins, and and dive into the water and chase it.
Fantastic. So I think as we watch, I think we are going to first see Vanguard getting this sort of call, and then I think as you sort of rush into the common area, you will get this view of Curie and Mayhem's friendly sparring matches suddenly maybe not quite as friendly. But I think the two of you obviously were in the middle of that, and it might have gone wherever it might have gone. But now there's been this call that you got from Flair.
Yeah.
And
We will
Vanguard's like,
finish this later.
hope you
Duty,
got,
right?
hope you got some extra. 'Cause we'll need it. Flair
We
just called in.
we've barely started, so we're good for now.
Okay.
Good to go.
I wasn't expecting you to be throwing hands. Okay.
That's the point. It says she doesn't.
Uh,
Is that an attempt to move Curie's labels?
uh, yeah, why not?
Mhm. Sounds like an
Um,
attempt to raise danger and lower mundane, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Just well, just if cameras show up, just don't do it out there
Mhm.
because
No,
that would be hard.
I think. Uh. I think for now, Kiri's just gonna accept it
Okay.
because it it's a yeah yeah there is a point.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So
So I think we watch Curie, Mayhem, and Vanguard rush out of the headquarters, um, and we follow Flare diving into the water, following this big shape, and uh, as this, we follow this view, we rush deeper and deeper and deeper, until we actually see a very sort of strange, unexpected scenario down there. There is what looks like some sort of a strange uh, underwater restaurant where there's a whole bunch of tables and odd various large sea creatures at these little tables, and like fish waiters moving around, and you see centrally nearby there is what looks like an aquarium, except underwater this aquarium has got a top on it so that it's air, and you see that Antares is with four other humans in a little like air aquarium underwater.
Oh my
And
God,
some
I'm a
of the
lobster.
fish are pointing and saying, that one.
Oh God!
oh
God!
oh
That's
wow
hilarious.
Christiana is coming for me where my little crab loving heart lives.
And I think that's actually where we will end the sort of like the main story adventure at this point for tonight. But then
wow
we have our end of session moves.
Oh my God!
oh oh oh
This is
wow
awesome.
Yeah.
It sounds
Yeah.
like a real dive.
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
gee oh
So next week, like the next issue, it says Wrath of the Lobsterman, and it's LOBSTAHMAN.
Ah, nice.
But yeah, so now that let's do our end of session moves. Who's ready to jump in?
I am.
Okay.
This is something I was actually thinking of before,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of got reinforced. Is that I'm going to be growing away from the team.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, kind of, I feel a little less trusting from Mayhem.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like
Seems reasonable under the
I
circumstances.
mean,
Yeah.
like not, and like this was kind of stemming from when we were walking home or walking back from Nona's,
Mhm.
because like yeah
There's some tension there. I think. Yeah.
yeah
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and it's like just talk to the needle about the suits.
Well, yeah. I think we have a well drawn, naturally occurring bit of conflict between these two characters. So yeah. So you that means you can take Mayhem's influence over you away from them.
Yep.
Assuming that that would be what you would want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay, who's next?
I'm growing closer to the team. I'm marking potential because
All right.
I haven't been able to mark potential.
Well, I keep giving you
Okay.
rolls and you keep getting good rolls.
True.
Honestly,
What a tragedy.
My dice hate me.
Hey.
Clearly, my dice hate me. They're succeeding all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Mayhem is also growing away from the team because Curie doesn't know how to take the answer no. So yeah, so yeah, she's so taking away Curie's standing influence.
Sure.
She's still in the position of rival, but since that can change, it's the standing influence that I'm removing.
Yeah. All right. Great.
And there I will grow closer to the team because he's closer, edging closer and closer to making that leap from having a mundane life to being 24/7 a superhero like the rest of his family.
Yeah. All right. So did you mark potential or?
And mark potential.
Yeah. Okay.
And I grew into my image of myself because, I kind of went off my own to try to find out more about my powers. I'm going to increase superior and decrease savior for the moment.
Okay. Great. All right. So next time, will Antares be a fish dinner in a different sense than usual? Will Curie and Mayhem patch things up or deepen the divide? Will Flair find an exciting new shape? Probably. And then will Vanguard make the leap to full time? We'll have to find out when we return for more superheroic adventure on so many levels.
So,
Oh,
Vamos!
Levels!